Let's see who's going to win the competition of being first today to comment. Who's got ready? What's your bet? Is it going to be Nick? Oh, it is Nick. There you go.
We should start putting a bet on who's going to come in first, shouldn't we, Andy?
Well, we just did, mate. I'm winning. Pay up.
Right, I'm going to say right this week. Slavomir was second. Scott third. Facebook user fourth. Identify yourself.
Yes, don't hide yourself under the name of Facebook user. Hey. Who would say hey? We can just try and guess who the Facebook users are based on what they say.
No chance.
That could be our game. Hey, is it? Do you think hey? Okay, well, let me ask you. Do you think hey is a woman or a man?
It's a good question. I'm going to go with Giza. Give us a clue. Facebook user.
As well.
Facebook user who was fourth.
Hey.
No, fifth. Wait there. 1, 2, 3, fourth.
Yeah, fourth.
Give us a clue.
Who is hey?
Waiting for people to join.
And then good evening, dudes. That's definitely a bloke.
Hey, no judgment here.
Hello, guys. Hello, guys could be a girl.
We don't mean any offense.
No. We do have to watch what we say in this day and age.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we're just saying it.
Do you know, like the old comedies that were really, really on the edge? Well, not in the edge. They're way past the edge in today's acceptance. Do you think they wouldn't really pass if they were being done now? Because a lot of the old comedies, especially the British comedies.
What sort? Like the only thing when you say the old comedy when that comes to my mind is like Carry On Camping.
Well, that's one of them. Yes, that kind of thing. Like there's basically everything in it. Racism, sexism. Nowadays, you can't even say the Rona beer.
Who would want to? I mean, imagine having a job for that company or even owning that company after this. That was just mental. Do you know what? One thing I like to do, mate, sorry to cut you off there, is one thing I like to do is just pay attention to who's coming in at the beginning of the show. And obviously, once we start talking, I can't pay as much attention, but I love looking for new names. So Slavomir was new from last week. Vilius, hello, my friend. Good evening or good morning, wherever you are.
You know what? You were about to say his surname there, and then you hesitated. Why did you hesitate?
You know me well. Thanks for throwing me under the bus, mate. But
look, I'm sorry, brother.
Nice. You know,
when I spot a signal, I say it. That
wasn't even a bus. You threw me on the train tracks, mate. That was tough. Anyway, Fred Martin, a new name whose surname I almost could pronounce. Fred Martin, welcome to the tribe. Pips like a pro. I believe this is the first show for you, unless you've been watching in the background like quite a lot of people. And this is the first time that you've commented. So thank you very much for that. We really appreciate your comment.
We've got a new guy on YouTube, mate, as well.
We have. Raj. Boom. The future is what we make it. Amen to that.
Raj, on a serious note, if you're not part of the FX Traders Club, most of the guys that we're mentioning here are on Facebook, in our Facebook group, FX Traders Club. So I'd recommend that you join that.
Whilst you were saying that, I'm going to go for it because I've got a friend. She's from Latvia and her name is Simona. So I'm halfway there with this surname. So Vilius Simona Vicius.
Can I have a try as well?
Wow. Okay.
And then Vilius will tell us who did the best attempt. Vilius Simonovicius, I'm going to go for, not Vicius, Vicius. I might be wrong.
Vicious. I was thinking like Greek god or something like that.
No,
like
it's not Greek.
Gladiator.
So Vilius, who was closer? Gaven or me?
Or Andy 3-syllable pronunciation? You broke it down so slowly, you can't really be wrong, can you? Say it in one go. Say it in one go like you're a school teacher.
It's very quick.
Like you're a school teacher on the register. Go.
Right. Michael Bruce, do you hear me? Melissa Minovicius, Fred Martin, are you present?
Steve Frost, choo-choo, get out now. Go and sit on the naughty step.
5 to Gavin, 8 to Andy.
Oh, come
yes.
on. Come on.
Come on. Yes.
No, that's hard.
And I guess Nick was going to comment first. Mate, come on, man. I'm destroying you tonight.
Cold. That's cold.
To be fair, you went up in the middle of the night. Although and you're not trained for it, whereas I'm trained to be up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? I'll take a 5. My languages aren't my strong suit. I've got a bad language game, so I'll take a 5. I'll accept that. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, you should never accept mediocrity, but it's fine, mate, if you're happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm going to shut up while I'm losing on that one. Yeah, exactly that. So, boom, done. So, look, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you've been having a good week. Like I said in the message, I can't believe it's February already. It's absolutely mental. But it is what it is. And a lot of us are being challenged right now in so many different ways. And if you're there, we feel you. And one of the reasons why we set up this group is for like-minded people to come together. Someone made a post, I can't remember who it was to give them the credit for it, but it was people, and I'm going to paraphrase it, and I'm probably going to butcher the phrase. So if anybody remembers it, please correct me. People that think Forex trading is a scam are the crazy ones. Eagles don't fly with chickens.
No, I think that was Michael Bruce. No, was it Con? So one of those two. No, yeah, I can't remember who, but one of those two, I think, said that.
Yeah.
Eagles don't fly with chickens. I like that one. Yeah,
and we are all in the process, in our own different way. We're all in the process of becoming eagles, but sometimes there's a bit of turbulence when you start learning how to try and fly that high. So one of the reasons why we set up this group is for support. You know, your family may not understand what you're doing. Some of your family or friends may not even know what you're doing, but we're here. We're a support network. And obviously we've got Andy at the helm, and he's the one inspiring us. And, you know, we've got me, who's got a lot of knowledge, putting things into practice. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to make great wins, and I'm happy to share those as we go along. And we've got so much wealth and knowledge in the group. We really, really appreciate it. So, yeah, if you've been having a hard week or a hard month or a hard start to the year, this is your support network. So thank you very much for tuning in with us. Anything you want to add to that, mate?
No, you said it perfectly, mate.
Oh, now look what you started. Try pronouncing my name. I'm not even going to try. That'll be a 3. If I do that, that will be a 3. However, Facebook user, if you click on the StreamYard link, we'd love to see who you are and what your name is. First time here, been following the Facebook page for a few weeks. Finally caught you guys live. Boom. Thank you very much. But awesome. let us see your name so that we can give you a shout out. So this week we're going to talk about long-term investing versus short-term investing, the risks, the rewards, and obviously from the viewpoint of a professional trader, which is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Andy Demi, who's also pretty good at languages, as we found out at the start of the show. But first, I want to, before you get too big ahead, I want to talk to you about something that I know you're proud about, and that is the work that you've been doing with Middlesex University. Tell us more.
Yeah, it's a shame. This year it's actually a lot of fun. This year we are having to do it online with everything going on, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a great opportunity to go back to that stage, because I know when I was studying, I had no idea about what wasn't available to me in terms of a career. So although we were teaching them like a trading course, teaching them about the financial markets, we're doing a lot more than that. We are when I say we, me and Alberto, we are essentially showcasing what they could be doing right now if they want to build a career in the financial markets, in how to get into a hedge fund, how to get into an investment bank, what's the difference. Because actually when I got into all of this stuff, it was very different. So pre-2008, it was a different experience working in an investment bank versus working there now. It's a completely different job, much better.
How so, roughly? Just give us an idea for those of us who are new. Give us some context behind that.
Yeah, I mean, basically after the subprime, things changed. They kind of went with much lower risk. So a lot of the trading is now done by algos, and essentially traders are execution traders. Now, I don't know, can't speak for all firms, but that's kind of where it's gone in the investment banking world. So whereas before you'd basically make a speculative trading decision, exactly how I teach and our students to do it. And that's how you utilize your skills to make money. Now you're essentially like you're just following a signal, and the trader just executes the trade, and they try and get the best possible price. That's the only thing that they're really doing. So whereas if you go into the hedge fund world, yes, that's kind of a lot of hedge funds do have algos running, but you do have professional traders that can beat the algos. So if I was going to get into it now, there's only two routes I would go, which is the prop trading route, which is what most of you guys should be doing, and the hedge fund route if you don't have too many commitments. If you've got a family, mortgage, all that kind of stuff, kids, it's tough to kind of start in the hedge funds because it's a lot of hours you've got to work. But yeah, sorry, I've digressed a little bit. But yeah,
but that's good, mate. That's good. So just for the new guys here, and I'm just going to pick it as we go along because there's a lot of knowledge and information in there. Do you just want to say what the two options? So you said the prop trading option. Just want to explain what that is for people that may not know. Yeah,
essentially nowadays it's what's done online a lot, but so it's where you basically have a joint venture with an investor. So an investor basically backs you, and you trade their funds. Now, before in the traditional prop trading world, which is what I got started in, you had to pay for a desk. You had to pay a desk fee, a monthly desk fee. So when I kind of moved away from the banking world, that's where I went before I got into the hedge funds. So I was paying £2,000 a month just for the privilege of getting my desk and getting some capital to trade. So, and in the first 6 months back in those days, you had to be exceptional to be break even, because when you first get started, they don't really let you trade many contracts. In fact, it was one contract pretty much for 6 months. So it was very tough to make your desk fee. Now it's so much easier because essentially there's no desk fee. Most online prop firms will charge you a fee, a one-off fee, just to do an assessment, exactly like what we do. If you're good enough, you get funded, and there's no monthly desk fee to pay. You work from home, so that's now the new prop trading. Essentially, you're getting funded by an investor to trade their capital. And the other thing as well, mate, is back in those days when you not only did you have to put a desk fee, you had to put some of the capital up yourself. So it wasn't even a case of like you just got backed. No, you actually had to put some money in as well. You had to have skin in the game. So yeah. So and then the hedge fund world is very different, obviously.
And so another thing on that note, so you were saying it's easier now.
Oh,
The investment banks have changed their risk appetite, and now they're trying to program everything. And, at the end of the day, whether we're aware of it or not, there's research that shows that the human brain is more powerful than any computer, right? So as long as we can learn to tap into that, we're going to have an edge in some way, shape or form. I would understand why they would want to hedge some of their risk and try and automate, because, having had an online business before, I love automation where possible to streamline things, reduce costs, etc., etc. I get that. But why do you think the prop trading side of things has become easier? If it was harder then, but it's become easier now, why has that been the case? Why do you think there's been that shift in that side of things?
I think it's just migrated to online, and that's the biggest thing. So when I say it's become easier, and even now, like, I think that's been around before Corona, but even with COVID, like, companies have started to see what's possible for people to do online, and that's going to save companies a huge amount of money. So essentially, you don't need to be physically somewhere. Do you lose a little something? Yes, you do, because part of what and this is actually a really good thing. I think we were talking about this the other day, the osmosis. When you're surrounded by like-minded people, you raise your game. There's absolutely no doubt. Look, I can tell you that when you are surrounded, when you've got, 50, 100 hungry people, hungry to make money, who are paying their desk fee, they've got skin in the game, they've put their capital up, and they need to trade to make money. There is a huge amount of value in that. There's being next to those guys, because you're part of that. Now, when you don't have that, you've got to create it. And the kind of thing that I'm talking about is like the group that we've got, being surrounded by like-minded people, being in our group, and the more professional traders that you're around, the better. But it's not the same. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to make it any different. It's not the same. Me sitting here on my desk, looking for opportunities. Yes, I can do it to a high level, and I can generate myself, because I'm crazy like that. But there's a lot of people that are not like that, and that's something you have to really generate. Like, getting your edge every day, making sure you're sharp. Whereas when you go in that environment, you get up. Imagine this, right? You get up at 5. You're in your desk by 6:30. You're surrounded by people. Everybody's up for it. They're all. We've got the squawk in the background, Bloomberg, and everyone's switching ideas. You guys, have you seen what's happened to crude? Have you seen what's happened to gold? And you're in that kind of environment. It's a buzz. You can't replicate that at home. You can do a few little things. You can, but you're not going to have the same edge being in that environment. And plus, you get to share information with top people. Like, not everyone made it, by the way. A lot of people kind of lost their shirts and had to quit. Like, once you're out of money, you're out of money. But still, like, there was a lot of good people in that environment.
It's quite interesting. What percentage of people, hopefully figuratively speaking, lost their shirts during the process? Like, could you see the guys that weren't going to cut it, and then, like, how long they stayed? Was it like dropping like flies, or was it actually in there?
No. Do you know what? A lot of them wanted to save face, and I think literally they would just keep topping up. So a lot of them, we just knew that they were topping up. So I remember one guy. My God, it was a disaster. Like, we were done for the day. We went all out, so that sometimes we'd all go out for a drink, and it was like it was getting to quite a heavy night. And this guy was a crude trader. All he did was trade crude, and he basically left open positions, and he didn't put any stops. He forgot to put stops in. He forgot to put stops in, and and basically the risk managers were basically they were calling him. He didn't pick up his phone. Eventually, at the end of the night, he's seen about 20, 30 missed calls. Everything was liquidated. It was just the positions went against him, and he was done. And yeah, he that was it. That was the last time we saw of him. But even just because you've got the money and you're in that environment doesn't make you a professional, but it definitely helps. But yeah, those were great times, and a great learning experience being in that environment. But it's like, we always say, throw your hat over the wall. I know it's a common saying, and then basically you're committed. Like, or what's the other thing? Like burn your boats, right?
Burn the boats. I've never said throw the hat.
Burn your boats, and then you're basically all in, right? You've got no hope.
Yeah.
You've got no. Yeah. You can't just get back on your boat. You've got to do it now, and it's kind of like that. It's like, well, I'm paying my desk fee. I've committed my capital. I'm there. I have to make this work, and I think that's an advantage that maybe now it's so easy to get into the markets, like open up an account, put a couple of £100 in and start trading. But sometimes you lose that little bit of an edge. So you have to create that edge. That's something you really need to write down. You have to create your environment to win. So make your environment a positive one, like something you want to work in and feel good in. Whether that's having Bloomberg in the background, whether that's signing up to a Squawk service, whatever it looks like for you, how you feel is very important to your performance. And I know for the guys that are doing this part time, it's not as important. But for those that are seriously looking to do trading full time, you need to and you want to be a day trader, for example, you need that environment. So if you're spending 8-10 hours in your office, you need to have a nice environment, and try and generate that as much as you can.
Interesting.
I burnt my boat. I bought a computer. Well, I don't know if that's enough, mate. I don't know who you are, Facebook user.
Don't burn the computer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Even if you get angry, maybe chuck it around a bit, but don't burn it, mate. So look, as usual, we've gone on a tangent, but thank you very much. I mean, there's so much stuff that just we're getting. What's that?
Oh, this is a smoothie.
It looks naughty. It looks like some sort of.
No, it's not.
Alcoholic creme.
Nah. Banana, apple, and ginger.
Banana, apple, and ginger.
Nice.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
That is nice.
As usual, we've gone on a slight tangent, but I really appreciate that of you going down through the tangent route for us, Andy, and sharing those knowledge bombs, and just giving us a fascinating glimpse into your world and how much experience that you do have. So let's take that back to Middlesex Uni, because obviously we kind of stopped that story, but I knew there was going to be some gold in there, so I'm glad that we did. And yeah, so back to Middlesex Uni. So you teach these guys, you prep them for that world then, basically, right?
Yeah, but actually this is part of a module, so this actually counts as part of their degree. So it's pretty cool. I mean, we've been doing this now for 3 years, but it's good. I mean, online, but it's not the same. So when we go there, we really build a rapport. We can really feel like we can make a difference. But we've had our first session last week on Zoom. And they've got involved. And, I think Alberta has his style, I have my style. And obviously people resonate with different people. But we've tried to sort of... I certainly try and get people to get involved, to ask questions, exactly like how we do with our students and in the group. Don't hide. Like today's Q&A, I was basically telling people, look, create a video and post it in the Elite Traders Club. Don't be scared to do it, because you need to grow and you need to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So The more uncomfortable you are, the more you're growing. And that's how you need to look at it. And I keep talking about this, and I'm moving away from Middlesex again for some reason. But
it's fine. I'll pull you back in, mate. You just go with it. You just go with it, baby.
I've said this a few times, but it's important, so I keep saying it. Like, because you're going to be challenged. You're going to be absolutely challenged in this arena. Like, whatever. I mean, it's great if you've got good people that have been through it, right? So, but because you're going to be challenged, you have to have a compelling reason why you're doing this. Making a little bit of extra money is not compelling. It's not exciting. That's why, if you want to take on one thing, if you have not done this, create a vision board of your ideal life. It's one of the best recommendations I can give you, because we all envision stuff by images. It's much easier than words. So sometimes when I see a trade plan, people send me trade plans, students, and there's no images in it. It's not good enough. Like, you have to have an image. You need to see that picture. You have to see the picture physically see it, and then you'll start to see it in your head as well.
Do you know the reason why?
No, I don't know if I do, but please tell us.
The brain doesn't understand or function in words. It operates in images. So that's why, like, when they say, like, when I did a best man speech, I was crapping myself. And I was like, oh yeah, how am I going to memorize all this? And there's like these programs like Mega Memory and stuff like that. And I found out that if you link the words to an image, or if you break down like the speech, for example, in this case, break it down into images. So each section has an image. You're going to remember the content, because the brain works in images, not in words. Yeah. It's really, really, really fascinating. So that's why, if you can see it and visualize it, and like what Andy's saying, why the vision boards are so powerful is because it's just reaffirming into your brain and communicating to your brain in the way that it processes information. Yeah. And even us humans, right? So people are listening to what we say, but if you're on a date or something like that, about 7% of what you're trying to communicate is actually communicated through words. The rest is through like physical touch, body language, tonality, things like that, eye contact. It's super, super fascinating. Super, super fascinating.
Well, I mean, if you kind of think of it as well like this, like if you said to somebody, like, let's say one of your goals is to buy your own house. Maybe you don't have a house yet, you're renting or something, and you said like in your head, say, yeah, I need to buy a 4-bedroom house, right? Because I've got 2 kids and I need an office and whatever. And you've got a 4-bed. So you say, I want a 4-bedroom house. Is that exciting? Not sure. But if you see a picture of what it's going to look like, what your office is going to look like, what your kitchen's going to look like, what your garden is going to look like, envision, and then you can see yourself living there. That's what I'm talking about. You bring it to life. And then that's like, well, that's compelling for me. That excites me. And then, so when you're faced with challenge, you keep going back to those images that matter to you personally, not somebody else's images, to you, that something that excites you, whatever it is for you, so that you basically can fight through those challenges. Because otherwise, like, why bother, right? I mean, once it gets hard, why bother? If like, yeah, I'm just trying to make a few extra £100. Well, okay, but this is hard. Like, are you getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning? Are you exercising? Are you doing all the things that are necessary? If your reason isn't compelling, you're not going to do those things, whatever's required for you to do.
Very interesting, mate. And we could carry on this conversation for the rest of the show, get people's vision boards and their goals. We'd love to hear about that. So even if we don't carry on this conversation now because of time, just whack it in the comments and we'll start sharing that. And maybe that's something we can revisit. But so Middlesex Uni, like how'd you get that, Andy? Because it's like, I'm presuming they don't just let any old operation go into that. In Australia, it's different. It's kind of like, it's quite heard of that. Some universities will do like trading and trading courses and stuff like that in the universities. They're a bit more, I don't know if on it's the word, but they're definitely more open to this kind of thing. Whereas in the UK, I'm not aware of anyone else that's kind of doing this. So how do you get that gig with the university?
Well, we started being guest speakers at various universities. Well, we wanted to make a difference. So I was invited to go back as an alumni at my university, Reading University. So that's kind of where we started doing it. And we kind of saw an opportunity to really make a difference. And we did the same at lots of universities, and Middlesex happened to be one of them. But after sort of like doing that, the feedback was so strong that the students really got so much value out of it. And obviously Middlesex, you know, compared to some like Reading and some of the other universities that we visited, is a lower university. So the opportunities for those people are less, you know, there's no doubt about that. But if you know what you're doing, you can absolutely get into wherever you want to go from. It doesn't matter what university you're coming from. So that's kind of like where it kind of was born. And then they kind of said, you know, would you be interested in maybe doing a few more sessions? And that's what we started to do. And then eventually kind of migrated into like part of a module now. So now they get to actually go, it gets to go towards their degrees. But aside from that, they also let other departments come in as well. And even though they're not getting it as part of their degree, we're getting lots and lots of people that are coming in as guests because they're interested. And I think right now, especially, it's such a critical time to start learning other skills.
100% to that. And I see, just checking through the comments now quickly, I see a few of our Elite Trading Club members. So big shout out to you guys. Just to mention a couple of the visualizations on the motivations. Connor, thanks for sharing this one. We were in Hawaii, Xmas 2020. Would love to live there, but we still haven't figured out how to make it happen. That's a pretty compelling, compelling why, Connor. Thank you for sharing.
I gave him a task to post a video by next week, and he's taken that on. That's a good start. Get out of your comfort zone.
I remember when you did that to me, mate. Squeaky bum time, to say the least. So enjoy that process, Connor. Embrace it. And,
it is daunting the first time.
Yeah,
everything is.
I've been challenging a few guys as well. So and they're there. And the thing is, your knowledge just goes up when you start doing it. It's definitely, you're not doing it just because you want to take the piss or you don't like us or something. There is actually a method to your madness. But look, let's focus on what we said we were going to talk about this week, and then we can come back to this other stuff. So I really enjoyed that, and half the show's gone already, mate, just from this conversation. It's just so easy how it is just a group of us here talking about stuff. It's pretty awesome. So let's jump into long-term versus short-term. And I guess the most famous, depending upon your perspective, but I guess the most famous example of this is Warren Buffett, right? With the long-term investing and how he's managed to build wealth. And obviously, if you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a book that we recommend, that kind of goes down more towards the longer-term game through property. So do you just want to talk about long-term and short-term, and then we can go into some of the risks and rewards of each from your perspective? Obviously, we're not saying that what you're saying is gospel, but from your perspective as a professional trader. Now, I'm sure you straddle both sectors. But first of all, let's just, from your point of view, let's just go through what each of them are and then progress from there.
Yeah. So I think firstly, it's important that we define what each one is. So if we're talking about trading, so that's one side of it. So trading can be long term and can be short term. But in the trading world, long term is like a few weeks. It's not a few years. So it's important to have that distinction. So if we firstly speak about trading, you know, I really think there's no right or wrong. It's about finding the blueprint that resonates with you. So it's what you're most comfortable with. And I can tell you from my own experience, Gavin, now I have changed over time, because I used to hold positions for 2-3 weeks and just try and catch a swing and just let it kind of do its thing. But I just don't enjoy that kind of trading anymore. Like, I really, really like short-term profit taking. So ideally, I want to catch. It's almost like I've got more control with just catching the first move, banking it, and just getting on with something else. Like I like that, because and also I mean I'm doing maybe before, like I didn't have as much of a purpose as I do now in terms of like where I'm thinking and the difference I want to make to people and the missions that I want to achieve and the goals that I want to achieve. So part of it is that as well, is that I almost don't want my attention to go elsewhere. So I literally want to go bang, bang, take my stop on my profit, and then and that's done. And now I can just go, right, now I'm focused on something else. Whereas I think you can't help it, but when you're in positions, I mean, these guys will probably resonate with this. When you're in positions, you cannot help but have this little bugger, and you're checking your P&L. You can't, you just can't help it.
At the moment,
I don't think there's anybody that can just sit and just not look at their phones or not think about it. So, I mean, unless the position is so small that you really don't care. But when it's serious money, I don't really want to be looking at it, because, and there's obviously more things can go wrong. You need to manage your trades more. Like, you know, if you're catching a 2-3 week move, you're probably looking between 500-600 pips minimum, right? And a lot can happen on that journey. So you have to come up with a plan that probably requires some trade management. Maybe you'll trade or stop behind the outside moving average, for example. And that means you've got to do some work. You've got to go in and then keep moving your stop up, or whatever you're going to do. So that, yeah. And I think as long as you're happy to do it, it's fine. So, but there are more risks with holding longer term. And in my opinion, you're going to make less money holding longer term if you are skilled as a short-term trader. Short-term traders will always win, because it's just mathematics. Like, if your maximum risk, think about it like this, Gav, like if your maximum risk is 2%, for example, and you've taken 2 trades that are going to last 2-3 weeks, just for example, well, your capital's tied up. So you can't really take another trade. Now, you could argue the case, well, okay, but in that case, we'd increase our risk. But then it's still higher risk, because now you're like saying, well, I'm doing 5% a trade. But if you're only going to take 2 trades in a month, if those trades fail, then you haven't made any money. Whereas with short term, I can literally go 1% risk, bang, 2% return. I take my 2%, banked, next trade. I'm going again. I'm using that extra money. Remember the compounding effect. I now have got an extra 1% in my account. So the next trade, I'm actually trading a bigger size position, but I'm in the market again. And then even if it loses, it doesn't really matter, but you're churning your money, and it's like, it's going to grow quicker. And you can see, like, you can simulate this as well. Like the more trades you take, the more your account's going to grow. And then kind of like, I don't know if you need to ask me anything about that, but then I can kind of migrate to the other part, which is investing.
Yeah. So let's just hold there, guys. If you've got any questions about this section, now's the time to get involved. So hit us with that. I've got a question for you, Andy. So it seems that's the most optimum way to do it, but it seems, and I don't know if I'm incorrect in assuming this, that it's easier, quote unquote, to do the longer term swing trades. It actually takes more skill to do what you're doing, and that's what takes a bit more time. Like the experience, like I'm finding out the experience between the knowledge. This is now nothing's good or bad to me. I'm just soaking up all of these experiences and putting them in the memory bank. It's like I have to earn my stripes to get, like, you've downloaded the knowledge, but the experience gap is what I'm finding the challenge now. But it seems that the swing trading is the more easier option, but obviously it comes with its challenges. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, definitely. You have, generally speaking, when you're swing trading, you're trend trading, which and you're generally trying to catch the next swing. You don't have to be as precise. You can have slightly bigger stops. It's definitely easier. Like, you can tuck it in behind a moving average and just get in on support and then just kind of leave it alone. It's easier in the sense that when you trade short term, you kind of need to be right fairly quickly. So your analysis has to be at a very high level, a good level, let's say, at least a good level. You could be quite average, and as long as you're disciplined, as long as you follow good money management and your psychology is okay, you could have a very average strategy. As long as you have an understanding of what a trend is, you can have the MAs and you can still make money if you do the right things, as long as you do the risk management correctly. But is it the kind of returns that we're getting into trading for? I mean, it wouldn't excite me, because then you'll have to, how are you going to make bigger returns? Risk more, put bigger position sizes, take bigger risks, but then that's not really what we want. We want to make more money with less risk. So,
and I agree with what you're saying, and sorry to cut you off there, but isn't that the beauty of, if you're a beginner and you find someone that can teach you, like you, then you can actually make money by it. So you're saying it's not as exciting for you, but for some
correct.
of our people here that actually just want to make money and it's part of their why. They know it's not, Rome wasn't built overnight, as they say.
Yeah.
Then surely that is a good thing.
No, I agree. It is. And like I said, I have changed over time, but I know that I loved it back then when I first started out. I enjoyed, catching a trend and playing a breakout and a nice little pullback and then holding it for a few weeks. I was really, really, really cool with it. Yeah. And so, yes, is the answer. You can start somewhere and then see how you evolve over time. As you grow as a trader and mature as a person, and things change in your life, and you have to adapt your strategy to your life as well. That's important.
And that goes to what a question we've had from Anthony. Would swing trading be more appropriate for someone that cannot spend much time during the day in front of a PC? So that kind of alludes to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely, Anthony. I mean, swing trading is always a skill that you want to learn wherever you end up. So, like, even if you end up really good at this, or you make money from something else, like a business or whatever else, and you have enough money to not have to work for someone else, and you get some of your time freedom back, there's never going to be a time where swing trading is not valuable, because the longer term stuff is always going to need some skill in swing trading. So there's, like, traditional investors will tell you, just choose some good stocks and just proportion a little direct debit every month to go into the stocks with no skill required. And every 7 years, the stock market doubles. So over time, if you just hold it, you're going to have a nice little pension pot. And that's okay. It's not bad advice. But if you can kind of take that kind of advice and say, well, actually, instead of me just doing it randomly, buying stuff, what if I use my knowledge as a swing trader to time my entries for my long-term investment. So find areas where it's good value and then hold it for the long term. Well, obviously that's going to outperform just a random buy. So whatever happens, it's a good skill to learn. And then if you want in the future, you can migrate over to more the style of trading that I do, which is like slightly shorter term and quicker.
So on that note, question from Scott. Thanks for joining us this week, Scott. Is day trading harder work? I guess let me answer what I assume, and maybe what other people are thinking. It's harder work to get to that level, but then once you're at that level, it's quicker in and outs, right? So it's harder to get there, but then you've got less risk.
Yeah, I mean, there's more that goes into the trade setup than a traditional swing trading strategy if you're just doing something basic. But even my swing trading strategy, I'll be honest with you, isn't basic. Like when I say, sorry, I'll correct myself. Not when I say it isn't basic, I mean, I will still use all of the tools that I use in my day trading. So like, for example, I invest in cryptos, 2 or 3 particular ones. And I wait for, and that is swing trading, by the way. I am literally catching the swing. And I can tell you that I've been saying it quite a few times now for the last 2-3 weeks, that I think, for example, Ethereum is probably going to skyrocket higher in the next month, like maybe even double. I don't know for sure, but that's my belief. However, you know, aside from the positions that I hold for the long term, I don't jump into the trade. Like, I am looking for swing opportunities. Now, I was looking to take a position, and I can be honest, like I was looking to take a position. I was looking at it the last couple of days, and then it started to go. And I was like, looks like I've missed it. And obviously you get that temptation. You're like, this is going to double up. I can see it, but you're kind of tempted, and they're like, no, I'm going to leave it alone. And then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to relook at it, and I'm going to identify value areas for me to buy. And if it doesn't come to my value area, I don't buy it. So that's what I've done. And it's not got there yet, but it is the point is that I'm still doing my channels, my Fibonacci, I'm trying to find, so that's where it's probably going to stop, or here. These are the 2 buy zones, and that's it. If it doesn't get there, I don't take the trade.
And are you talking about the Ethereum trade that you posted in the Elite Traders Club? Yeah,
but that's now changed because the price has gone higher. So now I'm looking at 2 different levels, 1505 and 1450. Those are the value areas for me to buy.
If anybody got in that, let us know how you've been getting on in that, because I see that
it's gone higher now since then. But now to the next, so I'm always looking for the pullback to add to my position.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, look, how long do you need for the trade setup of the week this week? Let's do it that way.
We're probably, I'm going to be honest with you. We probably need 10 minutes.
Okay,
10, 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so we better start then. So yeah, look, this is a topic. These are topics that we can come back to and have more discussion around. If you want, just let us know in the comments. If you want to experience what the guys at Middlesex Uni are doing, and we know that times are tough at the moment, so we've created an intro course which is totally free. But they're the people that have been going through it for the last few weeks. We've been getting great rave reviews about it. So we'll post the link in there for you. It's a way that you can start your trading education. If you are going to get involved in trading, do it the right way, guys. So Andy's put a lot of time and effort into that free program. So we'll post the link down below for you. And yeah, thank you for giving us that context about all of this information. Let's just try and answer a couple of questions whilst
Michael, I agree with you, mate. That's another one I'm really well positioned in, ADA. That's Cardano, for those that don't know. That's one of the 3 coins that I'm really interested in.
Katerina, thanks for joining us this week. One of the hardest parts is to wait for a high probability trade. That's why we are constantly in the market looking for trades, when really what we need to do is to wait for the best trades only.
And can I just say something about that? Because maybe people look at me and think, oh, it's easy for me. It's not. Like, and the example that I was just saying is that it there with Ethereum is that, like I'm convinced it's going higher, but that doesn't mean I should just jump in. And so I have to instill that, and I have to work on myself to make sure that I am waiting for the high probability entry. So it's always like we're human beings, and it's not ever going to be easy. You're always going to have that challenge. And I agree with you, but that's what's going to make you an elite trader versus, because one of the little things that I always say to myself is, what would a losing trader do, and what would a professional trader do? And if you keep doing what losing traders do, guess what you're going to be? Do you think pro traders would jump in? No.
That's a really good thing. It's a really good point. Post that on our computers. Very interesting. All right. Well, you know what time it is, guys. It is time for Hunky Photo Man. Boom.
So what I'm going to say, guys, is I had a look, and at the moment it's a tricky time to play fades. So I was looking at the euro dollar, and I spent a lot of time on it, and I identified some fade zones, but I decided not to take those trades. Like, I'm not going to take the trade. And the reason why is because right now the play is dollar strength. That's what the market is showing us. So, and there's a couple of things. I want to do 2 things here, if I can. We're going to go a little bit over, but I just want to show a little bit on that euro that I did, and why I'm a little bit hesitant.
That's great. That's great. Almost to see what a professional trader would do rather than a losing trader. That's exactly this. So this will be, even if I'm speaking for myself, that'll be great to see that. So thank you, mate.
No worries. Hold on. So where's my share screen? Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna spend a little bit of time on the euro. So this is what the weekly chart looks like. So if I just kind of bring in my pen, where is it? So the market has gone to a D point, and it's on the weekly chart. You can see what's happened so far. So today's Thursday night. It looks like almost certainly, not guaranteed, but almost certainly like the weekly is going to close below this weekly support. So in other words, support is probably going to be broken from what we can see. There's a lot of momentum on the pullback here. And we've got this kind of 38 that could be targeted. And the reason I've drawn this line here is you can see that the market is reacting really nice to this line here. So I've just kind of connected it here, and you can see this is acting as good support. So the real support is going to be somewhere down here, probably. So we don't know for sure, but the momentum certainly right now is with dollar strength. And then I went to and I did a bit more exploring, and I thought, well, okay, let me just go and have a look to see what else we've got. And I have identified this because I was looking at it from a fading point of view. I've identified this. So we've got a daily level. We've got this kind of hidden resistance becoming support and support there. And then we've got this here. And so you have got a lot going on here around that sort of 118.95. And you can see it's a really nice resistance area. So I went over to the 4-hour chart, and this here looks interesting as well, right? So I've got a fade zone with a 200. So normally I'd be thinking, amazing, I'm going to buy this, but I'm not. And I was trying to figure out why I don't really like this trade, because some of you guys that have been seeing the kind of trade that we've been taking, and they've been winning trades. You might be thinking, well, isn't this similar to some of the other trades that you took? Yes and no, because the context is different. So it looks the same, but the context is different. And and when I say the context is different is, well, there's strong momentum to the downside. And look where we are. It's the end of the day, and we're right near the lows, guys. Now, let me just show you something. And we may leave it at this, by the way. I'm going to show you a little idea after this, but I don't want to take too much time. But I'm just going to show you something, yeah, because I did something earlier. Now, I want to kind of take your attention away for a second. I'm just going to get rid of the fib and the other fib, because we can, there's reasons why this is going to go up, but I just want to kind of share a couple of things. 1 second, let me just delete the other fib. I like to have a nice clean chart. Okay. Now, this is the interesting one. Now, we spoke about it today in the coaching session that we did about the DTR. And you can see that the 1.2 DTR here is there. So it's a good reaction point. And we're here. But the thing that I don't like so much is that, well, firstly, there was this kind of support here. That's one thing, which we've basically broken through. Now, that could come back up, and it wouldn't surprise me if it does. However, what I did is I had a quick little look, and we can do it together, actually. So this one, to be fair, this one did go up. No, what time did this come down at that price? Oh, this is the 4-hour chart. I need to go to an hourly because it'll be easier to see the times. So let me just, yeah, so one little thing that I wanted to see is so when the 1.2 gets here, so this one here, this was kind of like, it got there around 12 o'clock. That's the sort of time I'd like to see it hit the 1.2. That's okay. End of session and like lunchtime profit taking, that's fine. And then this one here, this one looks like an odd one. This one was a late one, 8 o'clock. This one was 6 o'clock. And this one is right now, which is about 8 o'clock. I don't really, I mean, at 8 o'clock, I don't really want it to be right at the lows. Now, it is bouncing, and you can see that it's not surprising that it's bouncing. We've already proven that this is a really good DTR. You can see, but this is only valid for today. And at 8 o'clock, it doesn't really make sense for it to be a good play. Now, when I look at let me go back to the 4 hour for a second. And I want to just plug in the fibs. I want to show you what I'm talking about. So the fade zone is basically so we have the 144 down here, which is 119.17. Now that's fine. So if it kind of got to that, you'd say, okay, well that kind of fits in really, really nicely there on the 200. And so that area there could be an interesting area. However, I think the DTR is not going to be a confluence there tomorrow. And then the other issue I had is when I looked at the hourly chart, look at this, right? This doesn't make sense to me because this here, guys, 119.34 is potentially a really good buy zone on the hourly chart, right? You've got the old 200 and a 144 right there. But then on the other time frame, it's saying 119.17, which basically is pretty much hitting this. And that kind of kills that play. So there's the reason why I'm not comfortable with this trade, if I could break it into simple terms, is the dollar is ultra strong. It's at the lows at the end of the day, and the 4 hour and the hour are not really in agreement, and the picture isn't clear, which creates doubt about the trade. And it makes me think, well, remember what happens when the market is reversing? That's the time where sometimes the market will overextend and not pull back to its 38 reversals. So with that background, it doesn't make me comfortable on the trade, and that's why I passed on the trade, and I can't recommend it. Even though there's a lot of little things that we could tick, I wouldn't put my money on it, so I couldn't recommend it. So then I did have a look at the. Does that make sense, guys? Sorry, I don't think I explained it very well, but hopefully that's kind of the key thing that you might want to get from it is if it doesn't fit what you're looking for, be okay with passing it on. It just doesn't meet my criteria, even though a lot of it looks similar to what I've taken in the past. That's the main thing you want to get from it. Gav, did it make a little bit of sense to you?
Yes. No, it's given me some clarity.
Yeah. And so I looked at this because I think the Aussie, again, look, this is the monthly chart.
This is the Aussie US dollar.
This is the Aussie dollar, yeah. And I'm going to just give you a brief, quick look at this one. And look, the Aussie here on the monthly chart is a short, right? On the monthly chart, because we're on this line, we've got a nice candle, bearish candle formation. The weekly, strong level, we've held there. There's a path downwards here. There's also a path upwards because you can see here that the D completes right on the next double weekly level. So it almost feels like on this one that right now the momentum is down, but at some point, wherever it's going to be, it's probably going to pick up and go up. Or it could be lower, it could be there. So, but right now the momentum is down. Daily. Again, look, the daily is down. Like it's on the D and it hasn't gone back to its 38. So the daily is pointing down. We've just cleared this daily level. So again, it's down. And then I go to the 4 hour chart. And this is where I had to do a little bit of work because, hold on. I looked at this, and again, I put the 1.2 DTI. It's the one that's holding really, really well. But look at this, guys. It's on a support line. So I was looking at this and thinking, well, we can't really sell it here because basically we are hitting support. So then I thought to myself, well, what can we do? And so here's what I came up with as a potential play. And this is not a bad play. Remember, monthly, weekly, daily, down. So I don't want to buy this. I'm not going to buy this on this trend line. I'm going to look for an easy short. Let me just show you very quickly what the play is and why I've come up with this. Let me delete the fibs for a minute so we can have a nice clean chart. I went back and had a look. Can you see this white line?
Yeah.
Yeah. This moving average, for those that want to replicate this, guys, it's the 80 moving average. Have a look at this. The 80 moving average, look how well it's held, like as a support moving average. Like it's done extremely well. Look, and there was a spike, but see how the body still closed on that moving average, and there, and there, and there. Right, now it goes into range mode. Moving averages don't work with ranges. So here's the idea. If the moving average is going to act as support, well, it can also act as resistance. So I left it in there, right there. And have a look at the confluence that I found. Well, can you see this really nice kind of hidden line right there? Resistance, 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 resistance. And that comes in right there. The 1.2 DTR that's been acting as great support and resistance, look, right, is right there. And look, our moving average is right there. So for me, the high probability play is to let this market come back up here and then look for a short. And I had to be very, very creative to find a high probability trade on this one. It's not an easy one, but then we are aligned with the higher time frames and it makes sense. We're going in the right direction, but we found our zone. That's the zone that for me makes the most sense to take. Now, if this doesn't pull back and it breaks, the next best thing is to wait for a retest of the trend line. But again, you can keep this in there now and use that throughout the week to find a confidence resistance level if you want to get a pullback to that moving average. And so, that is finished.
Mate, that's awesome. That's a drop 2 mics on that one. Mate, thank you for that. This has been really great. I've really gained a lot from it as well. So just to clarify then, we're waiting on the DTR to come out tomorrow because this obviously isn't. Yeah. DTR isn't really valid for the time frame now. So even for us guys overseas, where we're awake with the Aussies now, for example, me, would this still be a valid play, or would I be waiting for the UK and the US markets to kind of bring that volatility in volume?
Yeah, the DTR is gonna. The DTR will change, but we are at the lows. So, like, if you were at the highs, then if you were up here now, then you know the DTR is going to be up there. But because we're right at the lows, if it stays there, I don't know what the Friday DTR is, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's somewhere here. I remember the moving average is also moving down. We'll just see where it is. But yeah, and you can also, when you're selling, I would tighten this a bit. So I would probably, like, when you're going into sell mode, right, get rid of the green one because you're not interested in that, or none, right? And then tighten it to the point where you want to know where the pullbacks are touching this red line. So make it the 1 DTR, somewhere like there. And just make sure that you're getting it touches. Yeah, so that's fine. So that's kind of like, that's perfect. You want it to kind of spike into there, and that should give you a really nice high probability trade. You don't remember that you're just looking at it as a zone. You can do some other work. You could do like your up fibs here, A, B, C, D, like, and get your confluence. Like, I mean, I could do this all night, guys. So
I could watch it, my friend, but obviously we don't want to take up too much of your time.
That's the
Liverpool aren't playing today.
Yeah, no, that doesn't give us much confidence, but yeah. Anyway, like there's so much, and you can look for pivots tomorrow, whatever tools that you use to kind of match it up, and some of the oscillators and whatever else you want to use.
Awesome. Well, look, guys, if this doesn't make sense to you, then there is a place that you can start, and that is with the free intro course. The link's going to be somewhere either in the description or in the comments. That's your starting point. However, I just want to say thank you very much, because this has been gold tonight, and I'm sure people that are in the Elite Traders Club and a little bit more advanced and have been studying this stuff, I'm sure I can speak on behalf of all of us to say that we've got a lot of value from tonight's trade setup of the week.
That's quite funny, Michael.
Well, you got to say it.
Well, we can. What is? Where is it? Oh, yeah, that's what you. if COVID's real, which we won't get into.
Stay all night, Sab. That was great. Rico seconded Gav. Yep. So look, we were. Thank you very much for that. It's very much appreciated. But it is time. Unfortunately, it is time. So we are gonna vamos. Let's go into a little bit of this. Guys, like we said before, thank you very much for tuning in. We're with you. Make sure you tap into this support group. You know, you don't have to celebrate just your wins. You can celebrate some challenges, celebrate some losses. And I say the word celebrate intentionally, because sometimes when we're having challenges, it's worth celebrating, because it means we're leveling up and we're growing. So, yeah, that's what I try and bear in mind when I'm going through that. Any last words that you want to say, mate?
No, thanks, guys, for being here live. I know it's not easy on a Thursday night to be here, so we really, really appreciate you. And the show wouldn't be here without them, right? So thank you for being here.
That. But it's now not going to be here at all till next week. So, guys, have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your weekend.
We love you.
See you.
Delle genti che passeranno, oh vela ciao, 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 ciao.